Well, you already know what time it is. Your boy Matt Miz, the host with the most. Don't need to brag no boast. So I just give a toast to the real folks who done paved the way in the real way for us players to play. Now, it's good to see y'all, man. So it seems to me that who wants to smoke, right? You know what I'm saying? World Health Organization went ahead and sanctioned these vaccines, these pharmaceutical companies. Go ahead and produce these vaccines, right? Did you see what that Moderna vaccine did to that lady? Somebody's mother ended up taking the Moderna vaccine because she had to, because her employer told her to, right? And then, lo and behold, what happens is she ends up getting shakes, like a real type of seizure type thing. And then we gotta ask ourselves: do we really want to be dealing with these type of situations? You know what I'm saying? Not only that, we got to speak about these non-for-profit organizations feeding off the people, profiting off the people. We're receiving nothing. We ain't receiving anything from it. You know what I'm saying? Just a swift kick in the nuts. So I look at it like, okay, they don't want to see us winning. And when we do get a little bit of crumbs, they want to snatch it up from under us. Saying, we gotta, I need help with that because I gotta build my house and I know there's a little loophole over here I could start making some money with. Blah, 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 blah. But when you really think of the collective engagement and how that is going to how that's going to affect everyone, do you really think that it's the wise thing to become a poverty pimp or to profit off the people in need? Let me go ahead and put on Doggy Diamond's show because he's talking about the exact same thing on non-profit organizations like the WHO, World Health Organization, you know, and the what is it? Planned Parenthood. That's another non-for-profit organization.
Hi, I'm Rick Hefner, Program Director at Caltech, and I'm here to introduce you.
So that just goes to show you how dangerous and how effective this white supremacist agenda has become. So let's look at it.
That's not going to take your money and then start flexing on gold chains and buying cars and all that stuff like that. He be trying to find ways to give back what you gave him, and information is very, very important. Then he also offers a service. Many people who want your money and take your money. Yes. Salute. So let me ask you something. You said EMY when I go out of town and people ask me where I'm from, I always say Brooklyn. Is that a Brooklyn thing? Because we don't really be like we from New York. We be like we from Brooklyn. Is that a Brooklyn thing? You hear me?
Most definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Most definitely. Most definitely. You know, because we got tired of people associating New York with the entire state. You see what I'm saying? So we had to get into the habit of telling people, no, we don't know your cousin. Where your cousin live? Westchester? No. We're from Brooklyn.
Yeah, right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And since Brooklyn has become, you know, a planet on its own, we have to, you know, make sure we break ourselves off into our section, which is East New York. I always have to claim that because at one time it was a space where nobody knew where it was at.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We so far off in the back of Brooklyn. We're on the border of Queens. I could recall the times when I used to have to describe to the cab driver
LES, the Lower East Side,
what block to leave me on. They didn't know where Pennsylvania and Working Ave was. You know, they didn't remember. I was there since before Starrett City. So, you know, it was a time in my adolescence that nobody knew where Penn Working was at. So I was, you know, one of the few coming out of Penn Working, you know, besides my elders.
So you was out there with the tires, you was out there with the abandoned burn cars, you was out there with the dead bodies and the lots.
Yeah, the lots, you know what I'm saying, where they used to smash the cars. That was
That was the insurance yard.
Where Castle sit now was actually junk yards. You know what I'm saying? Most of them, you know, ran by, you know, when you're watching those Italian mafia movies and you see them in the car lots and stuff and the junk yards, that's where we at. That's where they were at. You know, so I was out there back then, you know, and the coast of East New York still reign. A lot of people don't know that Gotti came from East New York, you know?
Well, also, Murder Inc.
Yeah, well, Murder Inc. was specifically, they had their headquarters on Eastern Parkway and right there where Bushwick and Eastern Parkway hit. That was one of the most notorious clubhouses for the Murder Inc. But you know, and for those who need to be specific, that we talking about the actual original Murder Inc.
Yes, not the rap group, no rap.
No, not the rap group.
And Van Sicklin is from the East, and he actually was a slave owner. He's buried in East New York.
Oh yeah.
Van Sicklin. Yep.
Most definitely. And when I tell people about that, like
I want them to get into this whole not-for-profit
individuals would use to further manifest destiny and the Europeans for colonizing this part of the planet, right? The first, what we would call now a nonprofit, was established in 1867, right? Coming after the Civil War and the Reconstruction period. And it was established to get poor whites and ex-slaves accustomed to what they knew at the time as education, right? And industrializing it and trying to build. This was the first nonprofit. It was called the Peabody Education Fund. So that was the original, what we know now as a nonprofit, right? A nonprofit is just, you know, it's an organization, right?
No, I heard that. The first non-for-profit was called the Peabody Organization Fund. Let's rewind that so we can reiterate what you were saying.
The Europeans for colonizing this part of the planet, right? The first, what we would call now a nonprofit, was established in 1867, right? Coming after the Civil War and the Reconstruction period. And it was established to get poor whites and ex-slaves accustomed to what they knew at the time as education, right? And industrializing it and trying to build. This was the first nonprofit. It was called the Peabody Education Fund. So that was the original, what we know now as a nonprofit, right? A nonprofit is just, you know, it's an organization, right? And they ask the government for specific status so they can be tax exempt or, profit small in a small amount in order to provide a specific service that the community or the area needs. It's just a certain status. It's not a for-profit business, though it can in limited amounts earn to sustain itself, right? But it's not a profit, it's not an entity like an LLC and things of that nature, right? Or big corporations. It is social in its nature. And through the years from 1867 all the way till 1980, they kept formulating and getting the structure in order to fulfill specific needs. But remember, it's always Eurocentric in its beginning and in its funding and in its how it's administered.
You hear that? So they're trying to tell you to do it. Do this NPO, but it's all European in the way that it is administered, which is understandable, because it is their system around there, system of governance was the government of white supremacy. Actually, the religion around white supremacy, there's no other religion on the planet except for the religion of white supremacy, as told by the great Neely Fuller Jr., you know what I'm saying? The author, creator of the compensatory code directly countering racist propaganda of the white supremacists, and to help replace it with a system of justice. Let's keep going.
So a lot of black people want to get into the lane because they believe that their specific expertise fits a certain need, right? Whether they want to do it from the heart or from a certain train of thought. That's where the nonprofit comes from.
Okay. So currently, would a church is not a nonprofit organization, would it be considered to be?
It can be because of the exempt status, right?
Gotcha.
The 501c, but they fit under different guidelines, right? Because they're using religious inclusions in their name and in their framework.
Got you.
Anytime you start separating church from state, church from nonprofit, government entities,
bad, y'all.
It's all based on how the resources are spread and who is going to benefit the most from it, right? A church should be considered strictly a nonprofit, but once its religion is utilized as a base, it gives it a different look and a different status, and most times a different mission statement.
Got you. So what would be considered to be a nonprofit that everybody knows? Salvation Army?
Salvation Army, just a whole bunch of them.
The World Health
the main
Salvation
Organization.
Army.
We get into stuff that we would know in the city. A lot of nonprofits go up under people's noses. They know they're there, but they're not, specifically in tune that right there is a nonprofit organization, right? You see a lot of them that work with women, that work with children, right? Those little foundations and organizations that you hear have donated to PBS and public broadcasting. You see those little Helena Rubinstein Foundation.
Wow.
There are different nonprofits up under that.
Gotcha.
Right? A lot of the hospitals have nonprofit missions and things of that nature up under them, but some of them are so large and have different wording, you don't understand that it's, well, the majority of people don't understand that it is an actual nonprofit.
So
again, it's in there, it's all in their framework on how it's written up.
So nonprofit is funded by who?
It's funded by the government.
Okay.
Specifically. Some have a large amount of private funding, right? But in order to, again, to sustain themselves and be able to utilize resources in a different way, they have to be real specific on how much they get from the government, right? Because all budgets that come from the government have audits. You understand what I'm saying?
What is an audit for the people that don't know?
Well, audit is a count of the money and how you spend it.
Got you.
You understand? So say you want to start a nonprofit for anything. Say showing people how to build their own podcasts. Because that was a specific need that was in your community because you come from a community of talented people. Once you make that pitch, right, and they say, okay, well, from this pot, this is what the government has allotted for creative arts in your neighborhood. And they say they give you $50,000 to do it. Out of that $50,000, they're going to want to know where's it going, how much did you spend, what did you spend it on, where's the receipts for it. And that's for everything. That's for your staff, that's for your equipment, that may be for where you actually housing your program, all that. So it's government based. Once you take that government money, they're going to definitely want you to account for that.
So they pay for everything, basically.
The majority of it.
Can you get donations from outside?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. And those outsiders is specific tax exempt for donating to your organization.
Got you. Okay. So you can have a nonprofit organization that say, I'm for the people to blah, 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 blah. And the government will say, okay, I'm with that. We gonna pay for that? Or like, do you have to have, how does that work?
No, well, it's already, what you do, you put in for bids, right? You solicit the government. You look up under, again, government funding. Say Obama gave 30, 40 million, right? For black men. If you are an organization and your mission statement is dealing with.
Now let's look up the World Health Organization. You know what I'm saying? Are we going to see if the WHO is a non-for-profit organization? Let's go ahead and ask Google. Is the WHO a World Health Organization? My bad, yo. I asked the wrong question. Is the WHO a non-for-profit? So you could have a non-for-profit corporation, a non-for-profit organization, but a non-for-profit corporation is not considered registered charities for income tax purposes. Okay, so you could be a non-for-profit corporation, which I think that's what the WHO is. Is the World Health Organization a non-for-profit? And look what we have here. The World Health Organization operates as a non-for-profit organization. Organization focuses on healthcare, financial protection, setting norms and standards, policy formulation, monitoring, as well as assessing health trends. So basically, it's a non-for-profit, something that's supposed to benefit the greater society, but not actually an institution dedicated to health and broadening the scope of health and wellness. Because when it comes to the medical industry, anybody could say they're the WHO. You know, if you say you're not for profit and you're about health, you could call yourself the WHO. That's exactly how they're bringing it. So why should we follow in the footsteps of these type of organizations where he's explaining exactly what he means by what these non-for-profits do and how they're operating. So you see why we keep getting into the same situations at all times, because it's a type of bombardment on our collective consciousness. If they don't give us a charity and a little scraps that they're willing to give away in order to maybe save on taxes or even feel charitable, they want to give you a vaccine as charity because they know what's best for you. That's why the non-for-profit organization, such as the World Health Organization, is there to set the norms and the standards for the medical industry, which really basically is it's like the United Nations for healthcare. Now, the United Nations is just a figurehead created by the world leaders to make it seem like they're doing stuff and they have the authority in the world. But if they did, they wouldn't be allowing racism and the killing of unarmed black people all over the United States by the hands of the law enforcement or other terrorist organizations. Well, let's continue.
Services for black men, you will put your name in that hat. Say, well, listen, my organization's been doing that for 10 years. I need some of that money to keep it running. So you fill out your paperwork, you submit it, boom. They say, okay, they're going to send people down to check your organization, see if this is what you're actually doing. And if you're doing that, you may win that grant.
So, it's a lot of hood-based nonprofit organization.
Right.
Some of them are doing the right thing, and some of them not even hood or abroad. How are they duping the people? How are some of them duping the people?
They dupe the people by not fulfilling their mission statements or fulfilling the specific needs that they said they were going to do.
Okay.
And it's not so much duping the people, right? But anybody who has a nonprofit should, at the end of it all, your end result should show growth within that population that you said you're going to assist. So say I have a nonprofit, and my nonprofit is based on hygiene and making sure little shorties got fresh ones in the neighborhood. And I say, well, I'm going to be here as long as I'm here. I'm going to provide free haircuts for 10,000 children a year. If at the end of the year, I mission statement. You dig what I'm saying? Now the community, because the community has an impact on how that nonprofit is ran as well. So if, you know, I'm responsible for all that, for the community, for my board, for the donors, people who donated, you know what I'm saying, the people who gave me the grant, I'm responsible for all that. So if they're not pleased, they say, yo, listen, we don't want this nonprofit out here no more. They're not doing what they do, what they said they would do. So it's not necessarily a duty, unless they don't give you none. Like they say they're going to provide haircuts for 10,000 children, and in that whole year, nobody got no fresh one. But yet you see the office is there, you see the barbershop is there, you see the brand new chairs and shit like that, and the barber got the big body outside.
Yeah.
But nobody got their hair cut. Now that's just the do. Or you come in the community and nobody really need haircuts. Everybody got fresh ones, but you saying that this is what the community needs. That's a do.
And the government will fund that though if they say we want to do this.
Oh yeah, because the government gonna get their bread back.
Yeah,
they're gonna get their bread back.
So what about nonprofits that say that you only really see them seasonal, like holidays, like they giving out turkeys, they giving out Christmas presents and stuff like that through the government? Because this is my thing, right? I always felt the way when I seen dudes giving out book bags, and I know they went to JanSport and really got the bags, but they frauded like, yo, this came out my pocket. Like I took $20,000 out my pocket and paid for these kids' bags, but I know they got a grant or something like that. Not that they, you know, at the end of the day, it's for the kids to get the bags, but don't act like it came out your pocket and the government paid for it. I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's kind of whack.
Well, yeah, a lot of people front off like that, but anybody, you know, well, especially in this day and time, should know that anything coming from a nonprofit, as far as a product, as far as a tangible item, is usually paid for with that funding from the government. You know what I'm saying? It's rare because people just don't have it like that. You know what I'm saying? I've seen the athletes, they're able to do that. You understand? They're able to do that because most of them are liquid. When they said they giving up $40,000, that's what they giving up. They liquid like that. So if they, you know, again, like I explained to you before, Spencer Dinwiddie, when he came to where I was at for the Thanksgiving dinner, he fed 350 families. Not people, families. Right? On his own. That was what he did. You understand? So how many dudes in the hood can do that? Right? That don't have a business that is a liquid viable business. So you say you got $20,000 from where? From the street? You took $20,000 of street money and bought all these book bags and gave it to the hood? Again, you know, that's something different. But, you know, athletes, entertainers, most of them are liquid. They can do that. And they won't miss it. That's out of the generosity of their heart. But when somebody's coming in the name of a nonprofit, that is an organization that is heavily funded by the government.
So also a nonprofit, they could hire all their people if they want, right? And take the government money and say, you start laughing.
Hey,
this is where we get.
This is where we get real.
This is where we get into it. This is where we get to it. This is where it get a little crazy. So,
let's get to it.
A nonprofit could get a half a ticket from the government,
right?
And get a little cousin $50,000 a year and say you this, and give their aunt this and say you this. And basically, they could divvy all the money within their family and friends and do the bare minimum of what's left over for the community. They can do that too?
Yeah.
Damn.
They can do it. But again, if there is an investigation, if there's an insight into that organization, the government will come through and do what they do. You understand? They will do that. But again, if that family was in dire need, or if those individuals are in dire need, okay, they fed their family. If their family and that organization is doing what they said that they would do for the community, so be it. Okay,
but they could,
fed their family.
But they could. What I'm asking is that could they boost the numbers? Like, yo, you take 50,000, and out of that 50, you gotta kick me 10 back. But
oh yeah, they could do that.
Damn.
Definitely. It's all in how, again, you gotta, be slick with the numbers, be slick with your pen. You can definitely do that. And I'm not saying it hasn't been done. It's been done several times. And that's why you see certain nonprofits come in, they do good for a year or two, then they disappear.
That's what I wanted to get into, because
they do things like that. But again, when we're talking about hiring and the benefits of nonprofit organizations in our communities, and I'm not talking about small nonprofits that's ran by predominantly melanated people. I'm talking about the larger ones that you were speaking on, like the homeless organizations. Like you said,
Salvation Army they try to collect the bread every Christmas, right? Feed the children.
All that other slick shit that's supposed to come into our community to do work.
Salvation Army got a lot of bread over the years.
They hire agents. They hire a lot of people on the upper echelons of the administration getting outrageous salaries who don't have no care or concern for our people. That's where it gets real funny with the hiring. But yet they tell our people who work on the lower levels of these organizations what to do, how to do it, right? Very disparagingly, how to speak to our people when our people come in to get these services. So now you have a government agency hiring Europeans to tell us what to do in our own communities when they don't live in our community, has no vested interest in the community thriving, and not really putting out the best of who they are to fix or assist with the issues in that community.
So how was the Clintons able to get away with getting all that cheese for Haiti? Remember, they ain't built nothing out there.
Well, that was the Haitian administration. But then again, you're talking about a different level of
finesse,
of foundation, a different level of donations, a different level of funding, and who's watching and who's monitoring it. What bank was the funds placed in? You dig what I'm saying? It's a lot with that, and they were secure. You're talking about the Clintons. You're talking about somebody who was in government the majority of his adult life. Yeah. So of course he knows how to secure himself as far as private security, right? As far as mercenaries that could go into Haiti and any opposition to what they were doing there, basically wipe them out. So we talking about that's higher politics and higher science, especially when we know that they were doing a lot of
crazy
white slavery, sex trafficking, organ harvesting, all type of shit that was going on out there. That's different. That's we talking about, again, there's levels to this shit. We talking about higher level, because when you even look at it, the Vatican itself deals with a lot of nonprofits and giving them the.
Yep, I heard about that in Haiti. Talk about the adrenochrome and everything. It's all interrelated, right? They get the most out of the young Haitian children because they got the um, fighting spirit, the blood of the slaves that defeated the Europeans. So this is what they do. Message.
To go ahead to do certain things and collect certain monies. But when we talk about specific nonprofits, somebody had asked me just 2 days ago from out of state about how can they get money in their community as a nonprofit, F with the police, but those communities out of state get their funding from police entity. It's not, everything ain't the same.
Yeah, me and you had that sidebar 2 days ago. Remember, me and you, I was telling you about, the homie was telling me, nah, the police get a lot of that cheese if you don't take it. So they'll go buy new police cars, new shiny shields and guns and all that, because we're taught, after police, don't rock with them, but they don't know that Parks and Recreations get a lot of the bread that's supposed to go to Parks and Recreations in other states. So we're taught, we're taught universally, don't rock with the police, but not knowing that if you don't go get some of that cheese from them, they gonna keep it. You know what I'm saying? Because remember, at one time we had the PAL everywhere. You know what I'm saying? The PAL, a lot of that, the PAL kept a lot of dudes out of jail at one point, taught a lot of dudes how to box, how to play basketball and do different things. But that's the police athletically. You know what I'm saying? So you would have had to rock with the police at that particular time. And that's when they're saying defund the police. They talking about taking some of that cream back. You understand what I'm saying? From
that, again, it's not a blanket solution. You see what I'm saying? It would work good in certain metro cities where we don't depend on them for that specific funding or for that involvement in how we move in our areas, period. But other states, other municipalities, other cities are dependent on that funding. So it's not, again, we are in a different situation where we are in a land, right, that's a corporation that is moving based on how they colonized it. You understand? They not from over here, and we have been doing trading and been with the indigenous people back and forth before Columbus. So we're in a very different situation, and that is how they move. Again, when I say 1867 and the Peabody Education Fund, if you put 100 years on that, that's 1967. Now we're at the end of civil rights era, going into the Black Power movement, and how different entities were structured to give people specific finances to ease the radicalness of the people. So again, nonprofits have to be based on needs that's going to move us or move the needle towards our liberation, and a lot of them don't do that. They just little band-aid fixes.
So BLM would be considered to be a nonprofit organization.
Listen, I don't know what the hell they are. I'm gonna keep it a buck.
Yeah, I'm
gonna keep it a
the
buck.
verdict's still out.
It was funded by wealthy people. You understand what I'm saying? Now, in the beginning, on how they executed and moved it to get to specific heights, I don't know what their paperwork is saying. You understand? I know in the back, I know who it was funded by and what eventually it became. So I don't know if they were nonprofit or not. I didn't choose to study it because the moves weren't mine. They didn't come from us. I peeped that early on.
Yeah.
If we talking about liberating our people, we have to be real specific. And when you see certain moves in this day and time, you know that shit ain't gonna be about nothing.
Yeah, it ain't
helping. After that, it's going to be prison or death. We ain't moving the needle on that. You understand? So I don't know what they came from, but I do know that it was suspect, and it folded.
So you got BLM, and it's chapters all over, but a lot of people didn't read their mission statement. Their mission statement wasn't what people thought.
No.
See, because when we say the phrase Black Lives Matter, we all in agreement with it. So what they did was they jacked it, and they made the slogan their organization. So now when you say, I don't support BLM, people look at you like, what you mean you don't support Black Lives? Yo, we matter. Be like, yo, not the slogan, the organization. You know what I'm saying? It's almost equivalent to you saying, yo, look at that rainbow. I love a rainbow. You want to get a throwback Denver Nuggets jersey on, for people looking at you like, yo, why you wearing that? The rainbow got hot. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't even sing Reading Rainbow no more. They're looking at you like, yo, why you singing that? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So
especially since there's so much going on right now, you gotta be hip to it, because again, we're talking about people triggering your response, triggering your emotional response, and now they triggering your physical response. So you run out to some Black Lives Matter shit, get your head knocked off for absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, they weren't geared for liberating our people. They just weren't. That wasn't the thing. Their whole thing was something totally different. And again, we still in the same space.
Yeah.
I've seen that. I peeped that coming. We've been through the protest era.
Yeah.
That was civil rights and all that. We've moved the needle to Black empowerment and to where the Panthers and the BLA have placed us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we're supposed to elevate from that point.
Not go back.
Forward.
Yeah, not go backwards.
You see what I'm saying? They took it and going backwards. So anybody who got studied and see it, like, I'm not with that shit.
Yeah.
Right? They've been killing us. We know that. We in the street, especially in the street, you already know what to do, how to keep them up off you.
Mm-hmm.
How not to move and not alarm them to what you're doing, especially if you're dirty.
Mm-hmm.
You know how to move. So I'm not. Come on, man. They're going to keep killing us. I've told dudes that a decade ago. So it's going to come to where we at right now. White people killing white people. That's not our fight.
Yeah, I sit that one out. I go get me some cheese popcorn and kick back.
Exactly. And if you really do the knowledge to it, a lot of us consciously and subconsciously, and a lot of people spiritually, wish for this. Ever since, you could say since Emmett Till, but we'll go through the list of how many young Black people were murdered at the hands of law enforcement or racists. You wish for the flag to fall. You wish for the government to collapse. So these people just doing your work.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't acknowledge that.
You know what's funny?
Seeing it as something different because the narrative has changed and they telling you, nah, this is y'all shit they attacking too. And that's what a lot of nonprofits do.
Mm-hmm.
They want you to maintain a specific narrative so you can be ill and need values intact, which is why a lot of Black nonprofits fail.
You know what's funny, even with people saying Trump is gonna start a civil war. And I was like, well, a civil war was white on white crime. I'm like, what y'all mad about that?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, they get mad because of the security. Security gets wiped out.
Yeah.
Stimulus checks get wiped out. The government freeze gets wiped out because you don't own it. You're not owning the responsibility for yourself. When the security gets pulled away, you get scared. You get shook.
Mm-hmm.
Just like when the dude is on the block and he running the block. Mm-hmm. Once he's gone, everybody's shook now until somebody else step up and say, "This is how we're going to run it." Mm-hmm. People get scared. The collapse of this government is scary for a lot of folks because they have a vested interest in it, no matter how unjust it is.
Yeah, because you tell them you're not getting your food stamps, you're not getting your Social Security. They like, what? I need my stamps. I gotta buy them oodles and noodles.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Regardless of those stamps being utilized to keep you in a certain space, and the other funding from it is keeping those police killing your babies.
You know, it's funny too. I'm a shopping cart watcher. I don't know if other people do that. When I go to the supermarket, I love to look at what's people in people cart, right? And most of the time I look at people cart and then I look at them. And they always are a reflection of what's in that cart. You could look at them physically and be like, that's why you look like that. You know what I'm saying? Because when when I see people with like 30, 40 packs of oodles and noodles and 80 Hawaiian punches, I'm like, yo, who eating and drinking that? 9 times out of 10, I know we veering off a little bit, but 9 times out of 10, they feeding that to children. You know what I'm saying? And I just never get how, when you read the ingredients on stuff and you see how much sodium and sugar is packed and stuff, and you giving that to a little 3-year-old baby, then you wonder why they won't go to sleep at night. Then you wonder why they got attention issues. Yo, it's that food, man. It's definitely that food.
You didn't really go off the train because you have nonprofits in the community that claim to be giving people nutritional information, how to eat to better yourself. You know what I'm saying? They may come in the guise of we're going to work on low-income diabetes in the community. You'll be surprised how many of those organizations are in Brooklyn and you never see them. They never do any outreach, but they get funded from the government to do that. And like you said, we go in our supermarkets, you see people not nutritionally educated on what they're consuming. So it's a nonprofit in your community that's there to do that because they said they were going to do it.
And they just took the bag and ran.
They took the bag and they sitting there because nobody know they there. Nobody's knocking on the door to say, yo, who y'all? What y'all do? Right? Now, somebody who does do that will benefit, and then they'll say, yo, son, these people are over here. Now, once the people start coming through, and these people really don't want them to come through because they want to, I'm in a cut getting this money. I don't really want to provide this service. I really don't want to teach y'all darkies how to eat to live. But I said I was. All of a sudden, the doors is closed. All of a sudden, you get an attitude when you're coming through.
Yeah.
I'm saying, I've been in a few of them. I know how they move. I know how they move. Who they hire. Who the ones that's getting $80,000 a year in the community, right? Saying that they're going to provide a service for our community, and we don't even know them. We don't see them or nothing. They come in there 8 hours, they break out.
So one of the new
crazy,
not new, but some of the fledgling nonprofit organizations that's been popping up a lot is guys acting like they're coming in the community to help the violence, help educate. Why is it still violence if they got all these damn organizations that's supposed to be in there to outreach? They got these outreach program. They got these we gonna stop the violence. We gonna do all this. What's happening?
What's happening is they got the wrong people. Because you got to really be committed to do that with these children, with these young men who act out violently. You see what I'm saying? You got to read again what the mission statement is of the program or of the organization, and then see if they have trained people to put that work in. You dig what I'm saying? Most of those, I'm telling you, once they get the bag, they gone. Or the bag comes with a price. You're going to get this bag, but in order for you to maintain this bag, you got to go to so many different trainings because we need you to think how we think and input that information into your community. So you're not even in the community no more.
Because you
got the bag, but you got to go train.
Explain that, because so you
mingle over there.
So okay, you get the bag, and then they tell you how to treat the people now.
How to maintain the bag. We need you to tell the people this. We need you to get the people to move like this. And if you don't do it and you can't do it, saying? It's a game once you get that. Now, I'm not saying there aren't any secure nonprofits that don't take that government money. They're small. And most of these guys are doing it on their own, unattached, but they're getting results. They're going out there, they can speak to their hoods, they can speak to the larger community, but they're not recognized in that clip. Because again, I'm telling you, this shit comes from 1867 all the way down, and they fine-tune it to now they know exactly what organization is getting what money and who is sitting at the top of that organization and what political party they're affiliated with, what think tank they come from, and what philosophy we want in the minds of the people.
And if you're not providing that, then...
And if you're not providing that, you're either not getting the money or your work is not being highlighted. And that's frustrating to a lot of people who really want to get the work in, who really can do the work.
So, what we doing with Umar?
I don't know what I've been doing with him. I don't think nothing about it. You understand what I'm saying? I don't, because again, in order for you to tell me you want me to donate so you can get $4 or $5 million to open up a school, you have to show me that you can manage a classroom. You've been around for years. You don't have one student that came through your tutelage that is almost where you're at and can implement your curriculum. Not one. Come on, son. You keep talking about donate so I can work, Do the work, Paul. I do the work whether I'm attached to a nonprofit or not. You understand what I'm saying? I do the work. I don't ask for no donations to do the work because I believe in my people and I believe in those young men. So when I step on the scene, I'm saying, yo, Shorty, let me holler at you. They listen to me. They see the commitment in my eyes, and they know I'm going to listen to them. So I get the work done before I ask anybody for anything. I don't need it. I don't need it to do the work. You telling me you need money to do the work? Something wrong with that. Something wrong with that. You understand what I'm saying? It's backwards. This ain't hustling. This ain't you go to the Connect and he's like, yo, yeah, take 10 keys and he never seen you with nothing. He never seen you doing nothing. You don't have no bread. Nah, B, what are you doing? Get the work in. Get the work in. Hey, I ain't doing nothing with him. He got some shit with him. He sound good. You know what I'm saying? He's definitely well studied. He know what the issue is, but it's a glitch there. And that glitch is what's preventing him from excelling. You understand what I'm saying? He has a glitch. Do the work, fam. Stop talking about what black people not doing for you. What are you doing for them? You can't just talk about the problem, B. They got thousands of scholars that can tell you what, who, and why we in the position that we in. So you're not doing nothing different. I get the work in. I deal with the anger of the little kids. I deal with them frustrated because they don't have no bread. You get what I'm saying? Going to go put in that pain and get that hammer. I understand that. And I tell them where you're going to end up. You got to kill that anger. Let's get to the source of that. Because right now, I'm telling you, the system not doing nothing to you directly, but you indirectly running right into it or into a graveyard.
There's only two ways.
Right, you can't tell me that you want $10 million for the school. Homeboy, do the work. I ain't seen you put in no work yet. Nobody came up out of your fold. No one.
Yeah, because every teacher has a student. Every teacher has at least one
student.
Right.
Come on, man. Bruce Lee came out of Ip Man shit. Show results. Dudes come up out of Bruce Lee school. Show results. Homeboy.
Malcolm is the student of Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Elijah of Iran.
Yeah.
And them of Noble John Lee. Show the results. but you can't berate black people for not giving you bread. You talk, it's a glitch up here.
Yeah.
And hopefully the brother is at the finish line with us when we do get our liberation. Because 9 times out of 10 right now, we don't have to do much. This shit is falling. It's collapsing.
Yeah.
But black people are panicking because of the loss of security with the fall of this shit.
And we really think we down. And we really think we down too.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Investing in it, we buying companies, we doing all this shit, but then you want to tell them, yo, stop shooting unarmed black men. Nah, you funded that. You gave us the money to get the arms for this. Who you think we was going to shoot?
Yeah.
What did you think you was investing in when you invest in corporations on this land? Nah, we just doing what you paid us to do. You understand? You gotta manifest this shit. It has to be a lifestyle. And again, when we get back to the nonprofit sector, none of it is based on the liberation of our people. The government is not going to pay our people to destroy it. That's why it is destroying itself, because those men who attack the capital have a different. All we got to do is sit back and watch. We ain't even got to comment on this shit. But again, when you not really woke, you talking reckless. You fear mongering the people. See what I'm saying? We ain't got to do shit. Fall back and concentrate on your home.
On your home. No, concentrate on your home.
That's it.
Yeah, because oh man, I be seeing a lot of dudes that I know that just talk so much and they fearmonger and they try to tell everybody what they should be doing and you know. And I'm like, yo, look at your home life.
Yeah.
Look at your home. Like, I know your home life. I know you owe child support. You got children you don't take care of. You know what I'm saying? But you keep trying to tell the people what, like it's a Band-Aid we could just put on the people. Nah, charity start at home, man.
Well, the people need somebody to listen to.
Yeah.
And now the information has become entertainment.
Yeah.
And this is what they know. Like, they could put somebody who can talk the talk in front of a wide audience, and people going to gravitate to that individual. But if he's not speaking liberation, if he's not speaking true self-thought for our people and renaming ourselves and moving in a direction separate from this shit, he ain't talking about nothing. Or she ain't talking about nothing.
Nah, what I see a lot of people doing is always talking about how we ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they would just say, yo, I'm getting tired of black. This is what I'm tired of what black people do. So it's like, yo, so whose side you on? Because we know where we twisted at. But let's get to the root of what twisted us. And one of the main things that we should do, I believe, and I know that you gotta go straight to the youth. Like,
I actually can relate to what he's saying, man. You ain't gotta have money to want to give back, you know. And, you know what I'm saying? And do what you use proper and give them some proper guidance, you know, because they all out here is crazy, man. Well, if you ain't doing that, you ain't doing jack, man. See this thing right here? Free food, it says. That's what I did, me and the homies, you know. A couple of the homies in the hood, we put on a basketball tournament, one of the biggest basketball tournaments in Burgundy in history, you know what I'm saying? That's what we did, and we did it for real, you know. And what did they do? They turned around spit in our face. The police telling me, oh, we could have arrested you guys that day, man. With the kids are messing with the cadets. Like I control the kids on the block. Y'all are crazy, man. Y'all are crazy in the motherfucker, boy. That's what it is, you know. All it takes is heart, dedication, determination, and discipline. Put it into these kids, man. Let them know what time it is. Anyway, it's boy Mac Mizzle. That's how I feel about that. You know what I'm saying? Kareem Johnson, he said everything I feel. We're on the same frequency. Manifest destiny, you know what I'm saying? All right. Peace. You know my slogan. Keep it real and feel. Forget how they feel. I'm out.